Maritime Made on Eastlink is presented by Nova Scotia Business Inc., helping companies large and small grow through export.
In Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, there's a new bakery creating dreamy smells and sweet treats for individual customers and restaurants all over the city. At Delectable Desserts, owners Melissa and Dennis are paying attention to all the details, making sure each order is perfect.
We're a wholesale bakery as well as a retail bakery set up for high volume, and we produce cakes, mousse, truffle cakes, cupcakes, scones, macarons, and anything dessert related. We are very passionate about food to begin with, and Melissa has a pastry background, and when we moved to Halifax, we quickly realized there wasn't a wholesale dessert bakery in the whole city that was supplying to restaurants, caterers, banquet halls, or hotels.
To begin, the ingredients for vanilla cheesecake are prepared. Almost 5.5 kilograms of cream cheese is weighed out. This is going to be a lot of cheesecake. Lots of eggs are needed for this recipe. A full 24 eggs are cracked. Flour and sugar are added to a large mixing bowl. Then the cream cheese goes into the bowl. The mixing paddle is pushed into the ingredients, and the bowl is secured in the heavy-duty commercial mixer. This will mix for about 10 minutes. The sides of the bowl are scraped down. As the batter gets more smooth, the eggs are poured in slowly. The consistency of the batter starts to get even more smooth and gradually turns a creamy color. After about 20 minutes, the batter is fully mixed. This batter will fill 6 cake pans. The pans are sprayed with a baking spray, then parchment paper is placed in the bottom of each pan. To make the graham cracker crust, first butter is melted. Then the scale is calibrated and graham cracker crumbs are scooped into the bowl. This recipe calls for 2,000 grams. The bowl is placed on the mixer and the paddle is attached. The melted butter is poured in and the mixing begins. It's mixed for about 5 minutes until it reaches the right texture. The mixture is poured into the bottom of each pan, then gently pressed in place. First by hand, then more firmly with a baking temper, taking extra care around the edges. The crumb crust is baked for 5 minutes and comes out smelling wonderfully. It cools before the next step. Meanwhile, the batter is removed from the mixer, and the paddle is wiped down with a spatula. Once cooled, the batter is ready to be poured over the crumb crust. Using a small bowl and a scraper, the batter is evenly distributed. These are ready for baking in the preheated commercial convection oven. Many people have a very distinct opinion on cheesecake. These baked cheesecakes are not too sweet and definitely not dry. Water is poured into the baking tray to make sure of that. The cheesecakes will bake for 30 minutes, checked for doneness, and then rotated in the oven. Then after a few more minutes, they're set out to cool on a baking rack. Once cooled, each cheesecake is placed on a turntable. Using a torch, the pan is heated and it expands to slide easily off the cake. The cake is flipped onto a cake board. Earlier, the pastry chef made a traditional French curd for the topping of this cake. The curd is made using butter, egg yolks, sugar, and fruit puree of any kind. This one is passion fruit. First, the butter is cubed. Then the yolks are separated. And the puree is measured. All the ingredients except the butter are whisked together over a double boiler until thick. It takes about 20 minutes of whisking. Then the butter is added and whisked for another 5 minutes until it's fully incorporated. Removing the curd from the stove, it's then covered in plastic wrap, taking care to place the wrap directly on the surface. It's then placed in the refrigerator to set. Now the chilled passion fruit curd is smoothed on top of the baked cheesecake. Then whipped cream is piped around the outside edge. Toasted coconut is sprinkled over the cream, and the finishing touches are added to the top.
Our competition is large international food service distributors, and they provide frozen desserts that are already sliced or prepackaged into portions that can just be put on the plate and out they go to their customers. Our product is similar in that everything can be delivered frozen. It can be pre-sliced, it can be pre-packaged, it's ready to go on the plate. The only difference is that we make it locally, we make it fresh, and we can guarantee that it's made with all real ingredients and it's something more delicious. Everything that we do is made to order. Everything is made fresh. We use only real ingredients. We use real cream. We use the best quality chocolate. Everything that we can find that is local, we use it. We do everything in small batches so that it's as fresh as possible, and we just put a little love in it as well.
Customers of Delectable Desserts love their scones. Baked regularly, they make both savory and sweet scones. Blueberry and white chocolate scones are coming out of the oven, and savory scones are up next. Using a creamy, buttery scone dough made earlier, the ingredients are prepared for filling the dough. Starting to work the chilled dough on a floured surface, Melissa works in stages to coax the dough to the desired thickness. Then, using a sharp knife, the ball of the dough is cut in half, sprinkled with cheddar, then chives. The other half of the dough is placed on top and pressed firmly together. The circular dough is cut on the diagonal into 8 pieces, and each piece is placed on the baking sheet. Sprinkling more flour on the work surface, Melissa continues to work through the whole batch of dough. Heavy cream is brushed on top of each scone, which will add a bit of crunch when baked. A final sprinkle of cheese is placed on top, and they're chilled until it's time to bake. This delivery of lemon curd-filled mini cheesecakes is almost ready. The finishing touches are done just before they head out the door.
One of the challenges was when COVID hit, and when COVID hit, it was very hard for our industry because we're, associated with the restaurant industry, and everything was shut down. We set up a new website to pivot from wholesale to retail, which was very popular.